Live. Hello, everyone. Let's see who's here. Oh, the hounds are already there. Okay, great. We can always count on the hounds, right? Welcome to another edition of the Down Home Texas Business Show.
Small business show.
Small business show, but we're just letting everybody file in and get their Dr. Peppers and their popcorns, and we have a great show for y'all today. Um, so over the weekend, question, Amanda, are you ready for Christmas?
No,
We've got 1 week.
no. I decorated like my office, a month ago? Like, as soon as Thanksgiving was over, like I was decorating, so maybe 3 weeks ago. Still last minute Christmas shopping, still have a couple of people who I'm like, what am I gonna get? Um, I don't do gift cards really. I don't think they're personal. I don't really like doing cash. And so
Mm-hmm.
those few people, um I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Well, well, I think I'm ready as far as all the shopping and stuff. Jimmy and I went to Weatherford over the weekend, and we went Christmas shopping.
Happy
Um,
anniversary, late.
oh, thank you very much. But we did go and we did go Christmas shopping, and I thought about this episode while we were Christmas shopping because there were people everywhere. And at one point, we were in a store and there were so many people in that store, and things were so, um, it was just a madhouse. And Jimmy actually turned to me and said, I have to get out of here. I think I'm going
We
to
do
have an
that.
anxiety attack.
We do
Right?
that in our family. That is one, oh my goodness. That is one of the best things we've ever done in our family is we have empowered our entire family, our kids, my husband, myself. If we call it, we're peopled out. So I don't care if
Oh,
we are
yeah.
in the middle of a party and one of us says we are peopled out, somebody is ushering them out. It can be in the middle of the mall, in the middle of a store, whatever, so that they can have the break that they need to like be
It's,
okay
I
again.
mean, it reminded me this time of year is ripe for anxiety, stress, burnout, and of course it is. I mean, everybody's level is up here, and they're all fighting for the same thing, to be joyful and holly jolly, and all the things. It's like that Christmas Vacation when Chevy Chase goes off on his rant. You know, so I
Okay,
can't quote it, or I would.
except for, you want to know one of the things that I have I guess, I don't want to say taken for granted, but in accounting, like, we slow down at the end of the year. Now we're
We
going to pick
do
up
a lot.
exponentially in January, right? But
Mhm.
the end
Yeah.
of the year, we're kind of supposed to be coasting into the end of the year.
Hmm.
But I've been following some people on LinkedIn who work with people who are in sales or whatever, and they are not slowing down.
No. No.
I
I get you.
can't
It's rough.
imagine. I can't imagine dealing with all of the holidays and still having to be so ramped up in work.
Hmm. Hmm. I know. So, with that, we've got a really good show. We've got fantastic guests to talk about this, and we are so excited. So, let's roll the intro and let's get them out here. What do you
Let's
say?
go.
Let's go. Hey, everybody. So, today it's episode 5 of the Down Home Texas Small Business Show. I am Tammy Fisher, enrolled agent.
I am Amanda Adams, CPA.
Yes.
And we
And
are
today,
so excited.
we are very excited about today because we are going to talk about burnout and mental health and what happens when your holly is not so jolly and all those good things. And we have a fantastic panel with us to have a roundtable discussion about all that. So we're going to get straight to it and we're going to bring them all on and let them introduce themselves. So here we go. Welcome to our esteemed guests. Yay! Yay! So let's go around and have y'all introduce yourselves just a little bit. And let's start with Dr. New. Go ahead, please. Hello.
Hello. Hi,
Okay, there you
Tammy.
are.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Jeff. And hi, Kristen. And hi, everyone who's watching us now and later.
Yes.
I guess to kick off, my name is Dr. New Trong, and I'm originally a clinical pharmacist turned into entrepreneur to really coach a burnout professional to live their life in the most fulfilling and joyful and with a purpose, and just really enjoy your life and every moment, and being in the present moment is all we have. And so I like to maybe pass on the ball to Kristen.
Sure. I'm Kristen Norai, and I am a recently transitioned teacher as a result of burnout, who ended up switching into working on the educational side of things from the corporate end of things. So I'm working on training teachers and coaching teachers. And one of the topics that I train and coach on regularly is teacher well-being and work-life balance. I am a special educator by training, so most of my training is around special education. And I've just recently launched my own LLC to do special education advocacy work for parents that are trying to navigate that special education or 504 process.
Brian, you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Dr. Brian Segre. I'm a retired surgeon and professional athlete. I help high performers to figure out where they want to go next, live life, to the fullest. And really, my goal is to help people take simple, small daily actions to end up getting big results.
Jeff.
Great. I'll go. I'm last here. So hi, everybody. And thank you for this platform and allowing me to be present with this amazing, group of entrepreneurs here. I'm Jeff Berger. I live in Cape Coral. I actually left corporate America in August of 2015 from total burnout. And today I am the founder and owner of Abundance and Optimum Wellness, where I believe we all should be living a life in abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. I'm a certified holistic wellness coach with a focus on the microbiome, gut, brain, heart axis. And I have been coaching for 5 years and have now just recently incorporated holistic financial fitness. So I do believe that holistic mental and financial fitness is a new path to wealth today.
Very good. So we feel really good about having you all here. We know you're very well qualified to talk about today's subject. So I guess I'm going to start it off and throw it on out there. And my first question is, I think a really good one, and that is, how do you maybe recognize signs in people that are struggling that may not be so obvious, especially during this time of year? Everybody's putting on a happy face. So what do y'all think? Brian, you can go first.
Okay, yeah. I think for me, it's usually harder, I think, to really recognize it in yourself unless you've been there before, right? So I've been down this road before, which is why I left two of the careers that I did. I think if you're looking at other people, for me, one of the easiest things that points it out is a change in their behavior. right? So some people think that burnout is going to manifest as like someone's chronically fatigued, they're tired, they're irritable, they're not participating. Sometimes it can be the total opposite, right? Like someone is really happy, they're excited, right? Like they're putting that face on, like you mentioned. And so usually for me, I typically look for like a change in behavior or a change in action, right? Like if they're one way and then now all of a sudden they're another, to me, that can be a sign that something's going on. Um, and the other one that I really, really key into a lot is fatigue, because being burnt out is obviously psychological, right? It's a mental stress, but that mental stress really takes a toll on people physically. And so a lot of times, if they're not acting different or abnormal compared to what's normal for them, a lot of times they'll lose their get up and go. So it could be someone who is typically really outgoing, or they like to go to the gym, or they walk the dog, or they have dinner parties, right? And if those things start to fall off, so for me, a lot of times it's change in behavior, and then it's fatigue or being tired and run down.
Okay. Good. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. To come on today with this talk, I needed to reflect in my time back in 2015 being burnt out from corporate America. And that isn't happening to me today. So, but things that were really that I reflected on was the aspect of chronic fatigue, actually decreased productivity, cynicism within the workplace, because there was workplace was becoming a hostile work environment, which got me irritable. No matter what I did was wrong, and a feeling of detachment. And on top of that, that really brings on a level of stress, and it's overload on the adrenal glands, and it really impacts you from the inside, eating away at the inside, to really bring on other types of ailments during that high adrenaline rush when you are stressed and maxed out to the gill. So over the years, I have, with my journey being a holistic wellness coach, I've come across some really great remedies that I still use today in the event that I do get stressed out. But being able to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression that was at a 10 plus for decades is now down to a level 1. And it's just a matter of really understanding how to address that.
I'd like to just piggyback too on both
Kristen?
what Brian and Jeff are saying, and, in terms of, I'm coming from a standpoint as a former educator where I worked, for years and loved every bit of what I did. And through the pandemic, I worked as a support staff specialist, specifically working on social emotional learning and behavioral and mental health and supporting our kids. And while I was in that job, I felt this ownership of making sure everybody was okay, not just within the school, not just my students, but my staff too, and my administrators. And I went above and beyond to do anything and everything I could until I crashed one day. And I can vividly remember I came home. It was the eve on what would have been the start of my 24th year in education. And I looked at my partner. I said, I'm not going tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm ever going back. And I ended up taking some time off for mental health reasons and kind of reevaluating things. The irony in the way, I swear God's hand is always in things. They cut my job that year because, quote, SEL and behavioral health are not really important right now. This was, of course, during the pandemic, I remind you. So that's when I knew, okay, it's time for me to make a change. It's not working. And I've been able to kind of build my own work-life balance and set those boundaries and really cherry pick. And that's been an amazing life change for me, for sure. I'm still getting to help and do all the things in education I wanted to do, but I may not be making as much money as I was before, but I'll tell you what, I am darn sure happier, and my health physically and mentally is way better.
Yeah, just I think.
What about you, Dr. New? What do you look for?
So my own reflections. So my passions not only help someone because I've gone through myself burnout, climbing the corporate ladder and, having the highest career path and being director and flying all over the nations and doing different things. But I think life happens to you to recognize to stop. And like we had a death in the family, right? My nephew commits suicide. So in that essence, it not only being the spirituality of myself and a whole family of us, it's more prompt, to be stronger than ever, right? But the society is like pushing you to keep going, right? There's no really grief time to really slow down, to really understand your own needs. And that needs, you keep on pushing, and you just keep on going because you're a high achiever, you're the A type. You just keep going. Nobody knows that you're burnt out until your own health will be the one that calls out on you. And that's when I got, really admitted or to the hospital by ambulance, which I was so stubborn because at the moment I said, no, I'm fine. I can take care because, when you're so strong will that that, oh, I got this and it will all pass. But if hadn't family hadn't called the ambulance on me and get me admitted to the hospital, I would not have been here. I got diagnosis with sepsis and a lot of things that just internally, when you think of when your mind is not really fully there, even though you serve in a capacity to help other people, to be strong for other people, to be there and nurturing and your strength and all that, but your body will crash. So that is one of the things I think as a professional, we need to kind of reflect on our own journey and kind of raise an awareness on what's going on society. It's not about leading to depression and anxiety or people are underperforming. It could be the high performers one who needs to say, hey, that's one of your sign of burnout, that you are losing that sign of purpose, right? What is your purpose in life or whatever your career is? If you question that, sometimes you lose that sense of being purpose, like what are you here for? And that can lead you to burnout because then you're seeking the next thing. And so, yeah, that's how on my journey. And I think also reflecting on our spirituality, whatever we come across our path, that also play a big impact for me.
Okay,
That's
so with
and
that,
you're
y'all
right.
have
That,
go ahead, Tammy.
no, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I was gonna say y'all
No,
have like
you.
amazing things, and this is such a hard topic right around the holidays. Sorry, guys, but it's such an important topic. And you kind of all spoke about different things that we should be thinking about, that it's psychological and physical, that it is not just people who have lost their purpose. I mean, losing your purpose can be a big part of it. The importance of family and having people around, the part that corporate America plays in it all. It's not just, oh, everybody avoid burnout. We can't just make it this simple little thing. So I really appreciate each of you sharing a little bit about your stories and how y'all got to be here. Because this is really such a near and dear to my heart topic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really, especially this time of year, that's really tough for people like Dr. New, like you said, like us, business owners in particular, because we tend to be driven people, right? We tend to be people who like to achieve. And we also, I think a lot of us tend to be people pleasers. So we're out here doing all the things and we want to make everything perfect and we want everybody to be happy. So in order to make that happen, we tend to sacrifice ourselves and what we need in order to make, especially the holidays, perfect for all of those people around us, and not just our families, but for our teams and our staff members and our offices too, right? Um, and then you, on top of that, we're trying to take care of ourselves physically, but this is a really tough time to do that because it's the holidays and everybody's sending us cakes and pies and chocolate and alcohol. um, so just a perfect, to me it's a perfect storm of feeding all your vices and staying up late and putting yourself in the hospital, unfortunately. So, go around and tell us some 2 or 3 tips or tricks that you personally use to keep yourself on track and to self-care, to take care of yourself during this time. Let's go backwards this time and start with Dr. New.
So for myself, one of the things, of course, just a little me time, because for me, I'm more of is serving, because whatever I do is serving for others. And so on the grand scheme of things, to begin my day and to end my day, I always have a gratitude, prayers, meditations as something that put me in my grounding of where am I today? What are things I need to do? But it's just do my best. It's not about achieving everything. And sometimes that thing on your list might carry over the next day. It's okay. But that's when you reflect at the end of the night, what are you able to accomplish? And is that gratitude, that small gratitude of that you're able to make an impact for me. And that is how it makes you not so much of looking at the numbers of what are you doing on that to-do list. You know, we all have that, whether it's in our head or whether it's on our journal or on our calendar. And that's how, for me, the biggest one for me would be that gratitude, that meditations. And of course, the time block, of course, is your precious, but some people think they don't have time for that. And they think it's a BS when they think about meditation. But I just want to share that it's not just about sitting. It could be walking, you know, that we're just putting everything clear out in your mind, have nothing in your mind, and just really reflect on all the beauties around, like whether it's walking, you notice the trees, the leaves, the beauty that it tells you, the things that will tell you, and you will have more joyful, that it's like you realize a lot of things that call out when you are kind of zone out to everything else. Don't be walking and checking on LinkedIn and posting and things like that, or listening to audio, but really just put everything down, just 5 minutes. And when that, you really take care of yourself, then the rest kind of unfold and you know what you need to do next. And that's how it has been for me.
Those are great ones. I'll go ahead and jump in. I think one of the things that I used to teach my students all the time and then realized that I was using it constantly, there's a method for breathing called 4-7-8, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7 seconds, and you exhale for 8. And there's actually multiple YouTube videos on how to do it. I find myself doing that strategy all day, every day. You know, anytime I start to get, dysregulated, I'll catch myself, okay, do a count of 4. And just getting that breathing, back under control. Everybody always says, oh, you have to breathe. It's not so much about the breathing in as the exhaling and getting, pushing that air out. But then also with self-care, being able to, I see the comments coming in now about what is self-care from the hounds. Ha ha. We're going to do our yoga and meditation together, Mr. Mike. And we're going to stretch and we're going to write. And I do, like Dr. New was saying, I start every day and end every day with a gratitude journal. That's something that's hard. It feels a little, you have to do it. And my latest is physically saying positive affirmations out loud to myself. It is very hard to do that. It's hard to take it seriously. But when you're really, really struggling, it can really help.
I bet so. That's probably, and it's a good time of year for that.
Yes.
As we go in, especially as we go into Christmas, and I think are we still in Hanukkah?
We just finished up Hanukkah 2 nights ago.
Finished. Okay.
Yep.
So, well, these are, this is a time of year. These are faith-based holidays. So why not? Okay. What about you, Jeff? What do you do?
So everybody has presented some really great things to work on. And what I focus on primarily with my journey, because in 2018, my doctors were leading me down a path to early death because I was type 2 diabetic. And learning about your gut health is critical to your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial wellness. I was able to come off of 5 medications, lose 60 pounds. As I said earlier, reduce stress, anxiety, and depression that was at a 10, plus for decades down to a level 1. And I'm a survivor of chemical dependency and 2 attempted suicides. So with that, with regards to gut health, people, I encourage people to really look at the foods that they're consuming. My journey started out with learning about glyphosate. Glyphosate is a carcinogen, and it disrupts the endocrine system, and it causes a lot of things, but especially depression, dementia, which is all due to mental health. And in 1974, it was patented in 1974, but it was given a patent to Monsanto in 2010 as an antibiotic. Glyphosate, a chemical herbicide to kill insects, was patented in 1974. So with that, I pulled up some stats I want to share with people today, because I'm trying to stay up on top of this. But Panera Bread's highest levels of glyphosate. Arby's, the second highest level of glyphosate. Chick-fil-A has found this group of moms, in fact, have found and tested these foods and found that there's a contraceptive in their chicken meat in Chick-fil-A, which is a veterinarian drug. And it has been found in 4 school systems. In-N-Out food systems is the highest levels of cadmium, which is a heavy metal. And then Sonic Foods is the highest levels of lead in their burgers. These are just some of the many, many examples. And I share in an ebook that I have, there's over 10,000 chemical preservatives that are in our food. This is what's causing all of the diseases that we have out there. I won't say all, I'll say massive contributor with the diseases that we have going on with the children's ADHD, and leading into depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, and depression. So food is the number one category for me, on top of all of the other stuff, which is added benefits for that as well.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I'm really curious to hear what Brian has to say as well, because he talks a lot about nutrition on his LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
And I think we all understand, that what we put in our bodies directly affects not only our physical health, but our mental health and well-being as well.
No, yeah, I agree with that, Tammy. But I'm amazed at how many people don't realize what's really going on out there and what's in our foods.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's
What do you
people
think,
like
Brian?
us that are getting it out there and educating people.
Right.
Dr. Ryan.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, before I dive into the 3 things that I wanted to share with y'all, I mean, just people don't realize, right? Like the gut has 100 million neurons, right, in the gut itself. So people think, right, the brain, and they think neurochemicals, and they think mental disease, but they don't realize that the majority of the neurochemicals that we use in the brain to have thoughts, to have feelings, to have emotions are being manufactured in the gut, right? And so if you're not taking care of that, in many different ways, then that presents a challenge just overall. So it's really hard to implement. That's why I was talking today about sleep and nutrition as being sort of the best performance enhancing drugs on earth. And it doesn't really matter what meditation, what deep breathing, what gratitude practice, none of that stuff matters at the end of the day if you can't get the rest of the body working, because then none of that stuff is going to actually be transformative. It's going to just be something that's very short-lived. But for me, this time of year, I will tell you something that I think a lot of people don't focus on enough is we always, and I'm guilty of this as a coach also, we try to tell people things that they need to do. But I want to remind you guys, some of the most important things that you can do to change your life is to remove stuff from your life, right? It's not always about adding more and doing more, right? Another 10 minutes of an ice bath, another 20 minutes of a gratitude journal, another 3 hours of, standing on your head and drinking 20 pounds of kale juice, right? Like the problem is that we try to give people so many things to do, but sometimes the most important thing you can do is remove the stuff in your life that is not intentional, that's not purposeful, that's not essential, and that's not serving your mission. Because if it's not moving the needle, then it's just busy work, right? And so for me, I try to remind people that eliminating things is often more powerful than adding. And so that's a big one for me. Another one for me that's really, really important is to remind people that in life, you need to have at least 1 to 2 things every day that you do that are totally non-negotiable, right? And they can be very simple things like moving your body for 10 minutes, right? Or staying hydrated or doing your gratitude practice, whatever it is. But you have to have 1 to 2 things every day that you're not going to try to cheat yourself out of or say, hey, I'll do it tomorrow, right? So that you can start to build a foundation of habit. And that comes through doing something that we call non-negotiables. And then the last one I would tell people is don't forget that during the holidays, especially, 1 cookie, right? 3 cookies, missing that day at the gym, okay? Like not doing something one time is not going to ruin all of the progress from the rest of the year. It's not going to set you up for failure for the forthcoming year. So I tell people, we give others a lot of grace and space. Give it to yourself. Eat the cookie, have the piece of pie, right? But remember that you can still make progress and have fun at the same time. So those are the 3 that I like to lean into around this time of the year.
Ooh, those are great, Brian. Like those are
Good.
really, really actionable, actually. I appreciate those. Tammy, do you have any?
Put me on the spot. You know, gosh, I want to. The only thing I'm thinking right now is what Brian just said about removing things that don't serve you, and what that makes me think of is, well, it makes me think of 2 things. Okay, number one, we used to host Christmas here at our house, and it would be a really big anxiety causing thing for me because there would be, kids running everywhere and the house would be a mess. They would be, dropping things and spilling things. And for some reason, I had it in my brain that to be a good hostess, I had to be taking care of these things and on top of everything at that point in time. I had to be on it. And it took me a long time, and it took help from, my husband to be able to say, just sit and enjoy the moment and we'll clean it all up after. When everybody leaves, then we'll take care of the cleaning and putting everything right again. That was really difficult for me. And it took effort. I had to, almost physically make myself sit and enjoy. But once I did, I actually had fun, and it was nice, and it was family time, and we had really good times, and it was easier to manage. So that was something that I could remove. I could take that off my plate. I don't have to do all of this all at one time. The other thing that's really interesting about you saying take things off of your plate or take things out of the equation, for a lot of people at this time of year, is toxic people. And maybe even toxic family members. That's a tough one for a lot of people. And, because, they think, oh, well, they're family. And so they have to be here because it's the holidays. I'm one of these people who believes, family or not, if they don't treat you well, they don't deserve a place at your table. Period. End of story. Anybody want to comment on that?
I literally just typed out the comment, we should not be doing things for others at the expense of our own mental health.
Thank you. Yeah.
I would go ahead, Amanda.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think we really love our families. We want to be big in families, but a lot of times, what I'm learning, there's lots of generational traumas in this, and so we ask for progress in our family, not perfection. So if we're all in the boat rowing the same way, if we're all working towards treating each other better. We're going to have bad days. We're going to do those things. But we're all on the journey together, but I don't need anybody who's drilling holes in my boat.
I like that.
So I think I don't want to encourage people that you cut off everybody that's not perfect. That's definitely not what we're saying. But really look at, is this a healthy relationship for me? And I know that Dr. New has something to say. I just want to add one more thing. For me, the big thing that I do is trying not to compare myself or those around me. So comparison is the thief of joy for me. And when I start doing that, when I start going, oh my goodness, they're my age and they have XYZ and I don't have those things. Or they're my age and they don't have XYZ. Where did I go wrong? We're all kind of in this individualized journey, and our family's big on mental health, which again is why we're so excited about this episode. But sometimes I may be further along in my journey than my husband or my kids or something else, and being sure to give them grace and giving myself that same grace, like Dr. Brian said. So that's my spill on it. That's what I'm doing for myself. I'm trying not to compare.
Yeah, so I just like to add, so I've been there at the moment to that when you have your loved one or those who are near to your heart that have that, toxic, judgmental, or whatever that is in a negative toward you that you can't handle. But what I would say, because when you're not there, then you will want to stay away from. But if you are there in a space to be able to have that environment to invite those in, to be able to not only be there for them, but also because it's how we bridge the gap of having someone who have that space of it's really is be able to have that transformation for them to see a perspective shift, like a mindset shift. Because once you see it, it's really about, then that's what I'm so passionate about mindfulness, is that everything start with us, right? Because it start with our thoughts. Whatever our thoughts is, it start here. And whether it's food, whether it's exercise, all the different things when we talk about, to nourish our body, the physical body, the mind, the soul, the spiritual, it start with us. So when we're consciously aware and where we want to go, you want to be surrounding yourself with a positive environment. But when those are not there, but once you're there, you're able to submerge yourself in an environment that you can give people tools to be able to hone in and change that emotional challenges. Because not everybody can turn off all that switch or can stay away from that toxic environment, because like toxic workplace that, they are, it's their livelihood or their paycheck. And I've seen coworker who's, came back from a toxic workplace that almost commit suicide the second round. Had someone had not been there to reach out, to be that loving, caring, to be there to help them bridge the gap, to lift them up, or else they would have commit suicide again. So I think there's a fine line. Of course, not everybody's in that space. And I think that's something. And then just be mindful of where everyone's journey is at. Like, for instance, when we give advice, I know all the things, but then everyone is not in the in a positions, right? Whether it's financially or things that they are able to get rid of all that toxic things that are in their life. So I think it's just giving them grace to take one baby step at a time, to know what is it the best for them. It could be best for me, but if I say, would it be best for Amanda, she might not. So I think it's working with whatever is best for that person and recognizing what will be the best one that move the needle, help you to feel joy, fill your cup, and then you can fill other people's cup. Because when we're serving people and we're helping people, that motivation is continue. But it's just having that, and when they see their own transformation, they will also want to gravitate and learn more, and then they'll dive in. It's just that little baby step so they don't overwhelm.
I'm really glad to hear you talk about serving other people because that goes right back to one thing that I definitely wanted to touch on today. And that was for all of our small business owner listeners and watchers, especially those who have a staff or they have employees. Um, can y'all offer anything, especially during the holidays, for them to do for their people that may be struggling during this time of the year? For me, this is a kind of a difficult question because they're not your family. You know, they're not family members. You may not be that close to them, but you may, because you're with them so much of the time, you'll see them and you may notice and see them struggling and having a hard time. So, you know, as their employer, can you do something to help them out? Is there anything that you can do to make this easier for them this time of year? And that's for anybody who wants to go.
As an
Did I
employer,
stump the panel?
are you saying that for employer to do, what would employer can do? Is that what you're asking, right, Tammy? If I'm getting your questions correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So the employer, I would say, is also getting to know the employees, right? Because not just on the surface of why they're underperforming and why they're having some struggle, that you see the different pattern in the employee, or if they're showing up late or whatever that you see that's not regularly showing up as that person. Maybe find out a little bit more about what's going on with them. Like how's your family going? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Because with a lot of things going on, like we have shootings and things around the world, and war. It could be a activation for people who are caused like trauma, like things that are maybe they are so either been there done that and they heal, but then now it's another now, or maybe it's a reminding of someone, a family member lost during the holiday. It's tougher for them. So there's a lot of things
Mhm.
that I think we have to find out what's going on with that person in a personal life, because that's how it's going to show up. And accepting for employee who they are. You can't say leave your personal family situation at home, because that's part of who they are. Because I think that is where you go above and beyond as employer to showcase you care for your employee, not just a number. And if you're not performing well, then you are underperformer, because that is like the terminology that are like the stigma and people putting people in the box, right? But when
Mhm.
people go above beyond, do you recognize that they go through struggles and make it happens for your company? So I think it's just being mindful and be aware. Sometimes they're not there intentionally doing things that are underperforming. They're trying their best, but maybe that best is something that we have to figure out in the back end. What's going on with them, and maybe how can we help?
Yeah.
Is there something we can, even just that saying that I don't know what's going on. Is there something would you like to have a conversation, offline or whatever, like after meeting, whatever, but something that shows that you care about the individual beyond the four walls of your workplace. That employee will appreciate you
Yeah.
more than
That right there.
yes.
Yeah.
So, Tammy, I think when we were talking about this episode, the upcoming things, this was important for us to touch on. And I think some of the things that we talked about we're kind of gonna be simple things. Some people block out where the week between Christmas and New Year's, if it's not business necessary, you're off work. Not all companies can do that. And please understand, we would never say you are a bad employer if you're not doing that. That's not
Right.
what we're saying. But we're
No.
saying if it's not necessary, if it is optional, can you let your staff know that? Can you, if you have a normal 24-hour response time, can you in November let people know the week between Christmas and New Year's, there may be a 3-day response time? Or give some sort, can you laxen some of those normal urgencies
That's really
to be
good. Yeah. Maybe That's really good. That's really good, especially for like PTO policies. Some businesses, I understand coverage needs, but if coverage needs are not something that you're worried about, then let people have off for the holidays. Let them have that extra day for Christmas Eve or for the day after Christmas, if coverage is not an issue. Another thing to me, that I think might be interesting or good is when you're doing your company holiday celebrations, um, let people understand that they're not mandatory. If they're not in the mood to go and do a company Christmas party, don't pressure them to do this because you want them to. And if they do
Oh,
go to a company party, be careful about how you promote alcohol usage.
that is
Please,
exactly where I was
yes,
going.
yeah. Don't make it seem like everybody needs to be drinking, because not everybody needs to be drinking. um, that can be a big one for people. There's a lot of pressure involved there.
Yeah,
So if you can just relieve some of that pressure, that helps, right?
one of the things we did too, to piggyback on this, is when I was still the residency director, it was tough with the residents and the medical students and stuff, to have something where there was like alcohol involved, right? We had to be really careful. And then I carried this over into the business that I was in after that. One thing we would do is you were talking about struggle and people that were struggling around this time of year. One of the best things that you can do when you're struggling or when you're feeling helpless, right, is to get helpful, right? Is to help other people. And so what we would do around this time of year is, instead of having like the food and the party and the alcohol and the cocktail hours, is we would go with our organization or with our employees to a local canned food drive, right? Or a back to school drive, or we
I
would
love
go
that.
to raise toys, down at the local grocery store. We just did this with our local Rotary Club a few weeks ago. And it was getting people involved and getting them out into the community, because when you're really struggling a lot of times inside, I'm not saying this will be necessarily a permanent fix, right? But you guys know from experience that when you're having a tough time and you're struggling, when you can do something small for someone else, even if it's just donating your time and not donating your money, it can, like in an instant, it can change your outlook, right? And so I just encourage people to remember that this time of year, if you're struggling or if you're feeling that helplessness, sometimes if you can turn that around and help someone else who's struggling in that moment, you can both find some relief.
Yeah, that's a excellent idea. Thank you, Brian.
And
I like
maybe for
that.
those who are in the work in the office, maybe having options to work remotely from home. For those that are struggling with, well, let's say if like a illness at home that needs kids that are off
Mhm.
school that need someone to watch out for, and then elderly parents or grandparents who are sick. I mean, there's circumstances that maybe need somebody at home as a caregiver, and we have to be mindful of those kind of situations and give them that
Yeah,
grace. And if they're still able to perform and do all the jobs, why not? Because now remote is almost, I don't think a comparison in office and all that, because I think it's shifting toward that flexibility, right, and autonomy.
yeah, yeah. More and more since
So
since
we're
since COVID.
talking a lot about like holiday related, but are there things that we can be doing all year round that would be helpful? Chris, like what can we do for teachers all year round, or what can we do for educators, not just our, I mean, at holiday seasons, yes, it's very necessary, but this is a year round problem.
It is. And one of the things that we run into is that schools will plan happy hours, and that's about it. So if you don't go to a happy hour, you're not interested in that, or you have daycare or whatever, you miss out. So one of the things that my last school did, and it really started kind of during COVID because we were all home, we started to play Zooms that were not for meetings. It was just to have fun. And, we would do breakout groups and do fun activities, but just something, going, miniature golfing versus going to the brewery, going, hey, everybody, let's go kayaking on a Saturday, and planning those kinds of outings, instead of it always having to be around food or alcohol.
Yeah, good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Very good. Well,
Can
it
I add
looks
something,
like
maybe?
we're coming. Yeah, go ahead.
I think as on the health, I just want to remind everyone. Really, I know that people kind of start the beginning of year with like New Year resolutions, and kind of really a long list or whatever list that they want. Don't tackle all of it. Tackle one items and get it down, because that's how you're gonna lead yourself to burnout. But overwhelmed, because then you want to do it all, and I want to do this and this, and then you're gonna crash, and then you can give up, and then you're gonna go back to not doing anything, right? Because then you're
Right.
exhausted. I think just doing that one baby step, so that way not only your health, because remember, your health is your wealth. Because if you don't take care of it, you're gonna have to at the end have to take the money to be treating. It's like treating. So how about being proactively? Let's gear up. What are some things that we can do that doesn't cost a lot, wherever your journey is at, and then just take that one baby step and work toward it. And once you
Mhm.
hone into that, then get the next one. But don't do it all. That's how people lose it and not really sustainable. And don't keep health being a burnout, adding on to everything else that we have going on. And I think that's something that people don't, I think I want people to remember that, because now we're going to the holidays and the beginning of the year. People are always going to say, oh, new year resolution, I'm going to do this for summer and da da da. But I think just having know yourself. Don't compare other people. Know what you are, kind of looking in for yourself. That's the best way to really find out what is work for you, and how you stay grounded, going on, being consistent. Show up for yourself.
Can I add one thing to that? Um,
Absolutely.
Real quick, the world is changing really rapidly, and I grew up in the 70s, and we're in the 2020s today, and kids today are more under pressure from societal issues that are going on, and the work at school, and everything is at a very, very fast pace. And when I was a kid, we didn't have computers, we didn't have cell phones, we were outside. And today, kids spend more time on their cell phones and computers, and they're not acting socially. And they need to get that out. And that is something that the parents really have to start looking at, because it's really changing the dynamic of kids, from ADHD, all kinds of stuff with regards to that. So I just wanted to plug that in there as well, because we need to. I don't have children, but I see other my family's children, my nieces and nephews. It's a change in their mentality from when I grew up. So I think that that's another important aspect that needs to be brought in for that generation, as on top of us adults.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour, so we're going to have to shut it down, unfortunately. I hate to do that because this is such a good conversation, but I want to give each of you the opportunity to go around and give us your closing thoughts, tell people where that they can find you and reach you and learn more, and answer this question: what do you hope to find under your tree on Christmas morning? We'll start with Brian.
Oh boy. Okay. No, I'm hoping to find just anything underneath the tree. Honestly, Lauren and I are having we're excited about, 2024. We have a couple of vacations that we're going on. So every year we promise each other, we're big travelers, and we always promise each other not to get anything, but then stuff ends up under there. So my hope is that we both stick to that and maybe just like not put anything under there this year. So that would be really fun. I know that's odd. But yeah, for those wanting to know where to find me, LinkedIn is the best place. Feel free to come on over to my profile, give me a follow for more, and have a free discovery call if you want to see if we would be a good fit to work together.
Okay. All right. And let's skip over to Kristen.
Sure. I also am on LinkedIn. You can find me there as Kristen Lynn Norai, also on Facebook that way, as well as on YouTube. And I am more than happy at any point to jump on calls as well. I do free discovery calls if you have, a student or a child that you have concerns about that you would like advice on. It's my true passion, and I love helping in any way that I can in that sense. So please, feel free to reach out. I think the one last thing I would leave you with is what I want under my tree this year is a kinder world next year. I would
Oh,
like to
yeah,
see more and more kindness.
definitely.
We were talking earlier, the more kind you put out, the more you give back. And, that's something that has just become so real, especially this time of year. But I hate to see that leave everybody when the new year turns. So that's my goal.
Yeah.
My wish is that continues on.
Good. How about you, Jeff?
As far as under the Christmas tree, I'm going to go a little bit with what Kristen said, but add the peace, prosperity, and more abundance for people globally in 2024. We're in really difficult times, and people are stressed out, not only from their family perspective or their work perspective, but from a global perspective as well. So that's what I wish. And as far as contacting me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn under Jeffrey E. Berger. Just look for the bald-headed dude. And I will be posting a free ebook, which is titled How to Eliminate Stress Without RXs. It's a little bit about my journey, how I came off of all my medications, and show the pros and cons between pharmaceuticals and plant-based protocols. And just share that journey for people who are looking for something different. And it's free until December 31st. January 1st, I'm going to start asking for a donation for that book because I keep updating it as I get more information. So thank you and happy holidays to everybody. Again, thank you for letting me share this platform with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you'll put the link for that up in the comments?
Yes, I'm going to send it to you, and
Okay.
I'll put it
Yeah.
on the LinkedIn comments, but everybody else can
Okay.
use
We'll
that
make sure that it shows up in all the feed comments. Great.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And what about you, Dr. New?
Yeah, I just before I give my closing, I think I also want to second that our food is our medicines, and I totally I'm more on a holistic approach also. I don't believe in just popping a pill. And my own journey and burnout and the things that I've done as my lifestyle changes and the things I incorporate, not only putting me off of pharmaceutical medications of high blood pressure or high heart rate because of the stress, because stress will induce all that. And I think when we hone in and kind of control our nervous systems to be in a state of non-flight or flight, because when we're in a constant flight or flight, you're not able to really think critically, creatively, and just living your life without depending on medications and thrive. And that's what I wish for everyone in 2024, to have more love, kindness, and compassion to yourself, but then also to bless others in your journey. And so that's what I wish for. And thank you so much for having all of us, Tammy and Amanda.
Yes. We are so very thankful for y'all's time and expertise.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're very, very happy to have y'all all here. We want to remind everybody that this is our last show for 2023 and that we will be returning on January the 8th in 2024 for the new year. And we wish everyone a very blessed Christmas and safe and happy New Year's Eve. So, Amanda, what do you want under your Christmas tree?
What do I want? Well, I buy the presents, so does that even count? Does it even count?
I don't know. Maybe.
Anything cow
I say
print.
yes, it does.
I'm in a new cow print phase, so anything cow
Okay.
print. Okay, like that's what
Okay.
we're going with this year. Tammy,
Okay.
what about you?
Well, I've already got my Christmas gift because I picked it out myself. So that's how we roll. And I got a brand new set of cookware, which I'm really excited about, that I picked out myself, and it's great. So, but if I had to get, I know, if I had to get really sentimental though, and pick one thing that I wanted for everybody to have, I would say this. I wish that everyone understood and felt the love that is given to them, the love and grace that is given to them from their creator. And that has something to do with faith. I tell people I do not have religion. I have spirit. So you don't have to believe the way I do, because I think there are lots and different ways to have faith. But I just wish that everyone believed and had faith that there's a goodness in this universe that is in control of our destiny, and it has only good things in store for you, and it loves you more than you can ever imagine. And if you can believe in that and buy into that and know it, everything gets better. So that's what I wish for everybody. So
Absolutely.
Very
that's my
philosophical.
spiel.
I did not go philosophical, guys.
No,
And if
I
you want
love
to talk
that.
about that, yeah, if you want to talk about that, hit me up. So that's the other side. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thanks to all our guests. We really appreciate you guys. And we will see you all in 2024.
Happy
So,
holidays. We love you
Happy
all.
holidays. We love
Bye.
you all.
Um,
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.